So thank you for joining us this afternoon. And I wanted to ask you really, I mean, your area of expertise, like we spoke about earlier, is Russia and the Middle East. And Russia's role in the Middle East, their expanding, their growing presence, is something that we haven't seen in years. But we've also seen a decline in the American presence in the Eastern Mediterranean. Do you see a correlation there?
It's a very dramatic moment because exactly at this very moment there is a conference in Russia, in Sochi, about the Middle East. And all Syrian, let's say, oppositional groups and all other political, involved actors are over there and are trying to find their way out from this problematic situation they are stuck in. The first point. Then I don't really believe that they will finish today this problem. They are in a very problematic procedure on one hand. On the other hand, our Prime Minister visited them Moscow yesterday and had a long conversation with President Putin. And my personal impression is that it was a very positive, let's say, conversation with some maybe practical results. So I'm not sure yet, but because no information from this context. But I am more than sure that we have a common ground, a common denomination with Russians for the time being. It's very important for us because Russians are here a very serious actor, very strong and influenced power in the Middle East nowadays. And what's the problem? The problem is that Russians are here mainly because of Americans, not because of Syrians. Because of the global competition, they are stuck over there with the mainly United States and Europeans, of course, like, for example, Ukraine and other places. And, for example, there are very serious problems with sanctions, economical sanctions, and they would like to exchange the situation between, let's say, Syria and the Middle East, and to bring something to the negotiation table with Americans, but Americans are very tough and don't play, including Trump, which Russians believed, or used to believe that he will he's supposed to be very pro-Russian. Suddenly, he appeared as a very tough player, actor against Russians, and they are stuck all together in the Syrian arena, which became the most important arena in the global, let's say, international system. And all of them are looking for the exit. Speaking about us, there are a challenge for us. Russia in Syria, it's not another one. We have a challenge because of their support for Iranians, because of all other local, regional, actors are involved also in Syria. Israel is one of them. And Russia is playing the game on the regional level, on the global level, and we are somewhere in the middle. So we are looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, but I hope it will be okay for the time being.
And when you were talking about the Russian interests, the Russians who are working, cooperating with the Iranians, and they're working, cooperating with the Israelis, at what point will that stop? At what point will Russia say no to Iran or no to Israel? And will that even happen?
It's not so simple. Russia has four very problematic, let's say, actors around Syria. And the Russians can't find a solution, a political end of this game without the common denominator for all other actors like Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. And Russians are forced to deal with each one of them and all of them together to look for some understanding. That's why they have to find a common language with Iranians and with Israelis. And when Putin has conversation with Netanyahu. They're speaking about Iranians, and the Israeli position is that no Iranians will stay in Syria. And the Iranians, of course, they have ideas of their own, and they're trying to stay for good, and they're trying to push Russians out. So Russians, it's a very complicated challenge for Russians to find a solution for Syria, and let's hope they will survive.
And do you think that the relationship between Netanyahu and between Putin is one that's strong enough to maybe turn or push Putin away from the Iranians?
Look, I don't believe in personal relationship, or at least between politicians. Between other people, maybe it's important. But there are interests, and Russia and Israel have very strong interests. Russia takes very seriously Israel as a power, regional power, and a very important one, a strong one, and cannot ignore it on one hand. Israelis are playing, they are not playing. They're waiting for the solution in Syria. It's very important for them. Iranian presence, constant presence in Syria is very important for them. The question about it. And Russia's maybe a solution. So we have to look for common, let's say, decisions about the future of this country, the Russian presence in this area, and it's more complicated than it looks like. It's not a question only about, let's say, Iran. It's a question also about the United States. We are partners of the United States, and together we have to solve the problems, but Russians are on our border, and we have to find answers to this challenge. So we are playing also with the United States, with Russians. Russians are playing with Saudi Arabia, with Iran, with Turkey, and with Israel. So it's very complicated.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.